It's June. We have lots of games already known for Game Pass. We'll go over what we're going to be able to play as of right now. But of course, there will be more things announced. We have a former Xbox Blizzard boss here who thinks that making a handheld for Xbox makes absolutely no sense. So, pretty happy with the recent news of the current one in development being pushed back. We have some information from People Can Fly who have canceled games. Assassin's Creed Black Flag could be coming out. Then we have a bit more information here on things like MindsEye and Atomfall. But before we do get into it, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share, like, all of that good stuff. Helps get the channel out there, helps it grow. I really appreciate it. But for now, let's jump into it. So Game Pass is huge this year. It's been massive with the amount of big day one games that have dropped into the service. It's been a lot of fun, just continuous excitement for the service itself. It's also had controversies even just recently where people are thinking that Game Pass is not healthy for the industry. It's basically, we're still getting those arguments as to whether it's sustainable, all of that type of stuff. I mean, we will continue to see that happen, especially as Xbox continues to bring more games to the service. And I'm sure on Sunday at the Xbox Showcase, we will get some pretty big announcements here as to more games that are dropping in to Xbox Game Pass on day one. But for June, as of right now, there are already many games that have been announced, and it's looking like it's going to be another phenomenal month. Even if they didn't announce anything else for this month, there's still a lot of stuff here that people are going to be able to go ahead and jump in and play. But here are the games. We have Crypt Custodian coming on June 3rd, which I don't know too much about this game itself, but you take a look at it here and it is kind of a interesting graphic style isometric action game. Kind of looks a little bit like Death's Door. A little bit reminds me of that. It looks like a Metroidvania Zelda style of game as well. So pretty cool there. I like these styles of games. So that's a nice one to start the month off. We also next up have here Symphonia, which don't know too much about this one as well, but you can take a look at it here. Side scrolling style of game with a very cool art style. Again, another Metroidvania style looking game, which always are fun. And then we get into some bigger ones here, like Space Marine Master Crafted Edition, which still, as of right now, people were skeptical as to whether this would continue to be the case. But as of right now, it still is the case that it is console exclusive to the Xbox and not releasing on the PlayStation 5. So that's interesting. And it is that remaster of the first Space Marine game, which is phenomenal. Then we have the Altars, which this one seems extremely interesting. Play as this character and you have multiple different versions of yourself. It is a survival game. So we'll see what it is like. Definitely looks interesting. I hope it's not just too slow. It gives me some Death Stranding vibes for some reason, which I was not a big fan of, but the game as of the trailers looks like it is going to be very cool. FBC Firebreak. This is coming from Remedy. It is a multiplayer game, co-op game. And I mean, in the universe of Control, they've never made a game like this before. I am extremely interested on how this one is going to turn out. I will absolutely be trying it out. And this is the perfect game to drop into Game Pass because you have a bunch of players that will be able to jump in and play it right away. Then you got Lost in Random, The Eternal Die here, which is a day one game, a sequel to the first Lost in Random. I know a lot of people really love that game. I've never played it, but this does look pretty cool. I may end up checking this one out to see what the series is like. I hope you can just jump into this one if you haven't played the first one. Anybody who's familiar with the series, please let me know in the comments. Rematch. I can't wait for this one. I think this is going to be just a huge hit. This is coming from Slow Clap, and it is a multiplayer arcade soccer game. We've already seen tons of clips of this one online. We've seen a lot of people put out some viral stuff. Looks like it is going to be extremely fun. People were kind of skeptical as to whether this would be good because it is coming from Slow Clap, which made Sifu. It's a completely different style of game. Game to me looks absolutely phenomenal. Then Against the Storm here, which is not a day one game or anything like that. I've never played it, but you can see it here. It's a strategy style of game here. So cool stuff there. This is what we know so far for June, and that's just the beginning. I'm sure we'll have more in June, but besides that, we'll have way more Game Pass games going forward into the next rest of the year. this year for Game Pass, I think is going to go down as the best one. We'll look back on 2025 as one of the best years in Xbox from a games output perspective. So very, very exciting there. And I can't wait for June 8th to watch the showcase. I'll be streaming it, so make sure to tune in for that. When it comes to the handheld, as we know, they've pushed the handheld back. I'm skeptical that they're ever going to make a handheld at this point. I know they say that in the article that it's not canceled, and on social media, Jez actually was responding to people and he was emphasizing it's not canceled. I just feel like waiting past 2027 to release an own first party handheld, it really doesn't seem like it is going to happen, but I could be wrong. I really do hope they continue to work on that Xbox OS though, and then they ship third-party handhelds with the OS. It doesn't really matter who makes the hardware, as long as the software is good and you can access your games. That's really, at the end of the day, all that matters. And that's why I was looking forward to a first-party Xbox handheld, because you know that they would have their own software on it. But I think they're going to go more along the lines of SteamOS and just make a custom OS that will be utilized across all of the upcoming PC handles and give you access to your Xbox games, your PC games, and it'll work great. But we have here the former Blizzard boss, who's always very outspoken, Mike Ibarra, suggesting that this move to push back the handheld was the right decision. Here is what he says. He says, if true, and this is responding to the rumor right now because it is still rumor, if true, 100% correct path in my opinion. So many devices out there with SteamOS on third-party devices now. None of this made any sense to me other than a reaction to fill some void in hardware strategy. Given the new Xbox focus, leaving this debate outside of this particular thread, hardware makes no sense. Focus on great games and building communities within them. And then you also have here Jez Corden penning a feature earlier suggesting that the best to sideline the handheld for now, that's the best move, saying, as much as it pains me to admit, Microsoft's decision to park the Xbox handheld for now makes total sense. Windows 11 usability and performance on handheld needs all the help it can get, and SteamOS is a bigger threat. So there you have it. I agree with the sentiment that SteamOS is definitely a bigger threat. When I first started seeing Valve and Steam license out their OS a few months ago, CS came and everything, we saw the Lenovo Legion Go OS. I thought to myself that Xbox was behind. They had to get something out, show it off sooner rather than later. Even my video before this was announced, I had already mentioned that they need to get something out there. And I feel like they felt the same way. They realized that they were behind in terms of trying to compete with SteamOS by creating a custom OS. So they're putting all the resources into making Windows 11 better on these handhelds, which to me sounds like they are still going to give you more of a console-like experience on these handhelds via Windows 11. What does this mean for getting access to all games, your Xbox console games and your PC games? We still don't know. So I would love clarification on that, if that is still something they're going to have going forward, or if that's put on the back burner as well. They're working on solutions right now. So I would love an update on that at the June 8th showcase. Not sure if we will, but that's definitely on my wish list. And if not on June 8th, hopefully we get something updated here before the end of the year. So in terms of the actual creating the hardware, pushing it back, putting more resources into the usability of their software, usability of Windows 11 for handheld gaming, that's probably a good decision. I just hope that they are continuing to think about expanding that out so you get full access to your entire library, because I think that is the main concern for a lot of people when they did see this particular news. All right, let's talk People Can Fly. We know what's going on in the industry. Games are getting canceled, studios are closed, people are being laid off. Well, People Can Fly, who I think have made some pretty good games, have suspended 2 major projects and they are making layoffs. So here's what's going on. They say that People Can Fly has announced suspension of Project Gemini and Project Bifrost. The studio also revealed that teams would be scaling down, which means that layoffs are imminent. And this is the 3rd major project that People Can Fly have canceled in just over a year, the 2nd round of layoffs in 6 months. And they say here that it was a very difficult decision. They basically say just the same things as to why they have to do this, making things sustainable for the future and everything. They say, as a result, we have significantly regrouped as a studio and scaled down our teams, which hurts the most. We wish to express our deepest regret and sadness over how these events have unfolded and our sincere gratitude for everyone's contribution up to this point. So that is what is happening here at People Can Fly. Unfortunate. I don't think we really knew what those games were. They were unannounced, but either way, it's a sad time where we're not going to be able to see some of these probably very creative ideas come to fruition because of the state of the industry. Companies at this point going forward are going to be far more conservative in terms of risks that they do take. They're going to look at more remasters, remakes, and stuff that they know will hit. Because if they don't, right now, with how long it takes to develop games, that could be it. They may never get another chance, and they really can't afford that, a lot of these studios. So that's why we're seeing a lot of this stuff happen. One game that I think will be an absolute hit, be a top seller, would be the remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We've seen so many rumors about this. It's happening. It's going to happen. I mean, we're going to get this announcement, and I really hope it is soon, because this is one of the greatest Assassin's Creed games ever made. For a lot of people, it is their favorite, and we have more to point that this is actually happening, as there are statue makers here that have hint at an Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake, which means they're going to put out a special edition and everything, I would assume, here, where you're going to get this statue. But the tease came during a recent Pure Arts live stream. They say where one of the hosts seemingly got confused between what was officially been said and what hasn't, saying, Assassin's Creed fans out there, you should be aware that there is something going on with Edward Kenway. And then one host interrupted the other host, asking him, wait, has that been announced? And they say, I think so. I'm pretty sure I saw rumors about it. No, I definitely saw an article about it. Later said here, so there's going to be something going on with Edward, and our PVC 1/8 scale statue will reflect that accordingly. I mean, that's obviously them preparing for a release of some sort, something to coincide with this, because to get people interested in this statue, a big game would be that. And we've seen so many announcements here. In fact, Insider Gaming previously reported that Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake is codenamed Obsidian and has been rebuilt from the ground up in the new Anvil engine. And my God, that is exciting, simply because if you've played Assassin's Creed Shadows, it is one of the most beautiful games. And if they're going to turn Black Flag into one of those beautiful games with that engine, oh, that's going to be awesome to see. So who knows when we will get this, but I'm excited for it. I think that was a slip up. I think they kind of gave that away, that they're building something for it, whether that's going to be statue on the side that you can buy or a collector's edition. Ubisoft generally puts out collector's editions for their games, and the statues are always pretty cool and pretty detailed. So I'm excited to see exactly what happens here. MindsEye coming out at the end of this week. I'm interested in this game, but I'm very skeptical that it's going to be any good, just simply because the way that things have gone, the marketing. You had the heads of the company basically say people are lying on purpose. They're being paid to be negative about it. I haven't heard too much about reviews or review codes. So I'm very skeptical as to how good this game is going to be. It comes from a pedigree of people who created GTA or developed GTA, and that's why people are excited about this game. The videos they've shown themselves look very cool. Previews from people have said that this game needs to be delayed. So it's like, what do you believe? Your eyes from the videos that you see, or the people who got the behind the scenes previews? Yeah, I would tend to lean towards the behind the scenes previews, but apparently they're being paid to be negative. It's all craziness surrounding this game, but the game itself looks pretty cool from what I've seen. So I am kind of interested in it. And now we know it's not going to be very long, and I'm okay with that. I don't need this game to be long whatsoever. With all the other games out there, a game that will be too long that just comes out here at this time of the year with the showcases, you got the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, will be harder to jump into. Leslie Benzies commented on the game and the length of it. And he says here, in a recent interview with Games Industry, Leslie Benzies took a deep dive into all things MindsEye, promising all manner of deliverables for the future. He said there are plans to add multiplayer and to add a full open world environment to the game. They say that's enough to push MindsEye even further from the GTA clone comments. And also, he says here, in terms of the open world game and everything about it, says, I think certain stories are more difficult to present to players in an open world setting. Open world gives you freedom. You don't necessarily want freedom to portray a story. For MindsEye, it's a very set time and a character Jacob Diaz's life. You pick up as Jacob when he arrives in Red Rock, and then you leave Jacob at a certain point in the future. And so it'd be very difficult for us to have an open world in there. It's horses for courses. It depends what you're doing, but for Jacob's story, it had to be a linear game. He also justifies why it's 20 hours long, saying, I think that's a good length for a game. What you also find through data is that big games, people don't play them all. The majority of people play 60 to 70% of people and don't actually play games to the end. So when you're making something, I would prefer, I'm sure the team would say the same, that you had the whole experience from start to finish, not create this 200-hour game. Create something that is finishable, but have some side things that will fill out the universe. A lot of side missions on the play side of MindsEye do fill out the characters' backstories or do fill out what was happening in the world. So it's going to be linear here at launch, but they, like I said, there will be some open world stuff eventually added to it if this game, I guess, succeeds, because they do mention that they are adding a full open world environment to the game. So we'll see. I'm interested in seeing what's going to go on with this game. I will eventually check it out. It looks cool, but I am skeptical on how successful it will be. And finally, Adamfall is getting its first major expansion this week. And on top of everything else that's happening this week, Adamfall is also getting its first major expansion. So if you are a fan of that game, you'll want to look further into this one. Rebellion wrote about the expansion, saying, drawing on the folk horror elements of the game for inspiration, the story expansion is set on Midsummer Island. To cross to the island, players must talk to the boatkeeper, who can be found on the jetty in Wyndham Village, and he will give you information about the island as well as your first leads. So this is the expansion that is coming. It will be available on June 3rd. So it will be tomorrow that you'll be able to jump into it, and it is going to be $20 for this expansion. So we'll see how good it is and if it is actually worth that money. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up. If you are new here, hit the subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.